I'm Morgan Crook from Ventex, and today I'd like to talk a little bit about servicing Venbrite LED drivers. Those of us who've been doing service in the field for a long time, especially if we started with neon or fluorescent, usually go about servicing by figuring out if the problem is in the lights or if it's in the power supply. If we can figure out that the power supply is good, then we can go ahead and figure out about diagnosing the problem in the lights. In a similar way, I think it's good to work with LEDs the same way. The Venbrite system, since it runs at 200 or 300 volts, is significantly different than working on 12-volt power supplies. There are a couple very good ways you can go about testing the power supply before you move on to figuring out if it's working or not and what other problems you may or may not have. The simple way to go about it is to have a working module with you. This has already got alligator clips on it. This is the one I use in the field. Here I've got a short power cord. It's got alligator clips on it. It makes this work really good. I've also got the opposite end here, so I can clip on to the power coming in and I can move this around. So first thing, with the power disconnected, red to red, other end hooked up, plug it in. We know we've got a good power supply. Doesn't matter how many LEDs you've got in here, it's going to perform exactly the same, whether it's 120 modules, a full load, or whether it's one module. So either one works. Okay? Second option, if you don't have known working modules with you, is to use your meter on this. Here we have a pretty nice meter. We're using the meter this way because this power supply has both open circuit protection and ground fault protection, so you can't just put it on volts and try to measure the secondary output. It is set on DC amps. This power supply says on the plate, says 120 milliamps on here. So it's set correctly to DC amps. With it disconnected, hook the power up to the hot, the ground, plug it back in. Here we're reading 0.131 milliamps. It's 120 milliamps on the plate. Very, very close, especially since we're putting more power in there. So if you use one of these two methods, it lets you figure out if your power supply is working first before you swap it out when you need to, or before you start looking around and pulling faces off and looking for a problem further down the line. So thank you for your time. Bye.